my name is Gerhard Schwantner and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Dave Madsen. He's the CEO of Sandler Training. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Gerhard.
There's one thing that fascinated me about David Sandler. He came up with the Upfront contract.
Right.
How does that work and why did it come about?
Well, it came about because David, in his own words, wasn't a born salesperson. And he was trying to figure out, how do I survive in this world where I don't understand the rules and I wasn't brought up in a sales household? And so what he did out of self-protection is he ran into problems maybe like any other salesperson. He would show up in an hour call and he was moving, it was going well. The prospect would look at their watch 25 minutes into it and said, hey, David, this sounds really interesting, but could you put what you said in writing because we've got a lot of fires today, we're gonna have to cut it short. And I think in sales in general, people just show up with an agenda that's not really shared with the prospect. And if you think about a conversation, and where sales is a conversation, right? That takes two different sides to kind of converse. So in essence, Sandler was looking for something that said, here's why we're here today, Gerhard. And here's how much time that we'll spend during the meeting. And then what would you like to get out of that meeting? And here's some of my agenda items. And that was the basic framework. Mm-hmm. And he noticed that off-site meetings, like if you went to let's say a national conference, they had agendas printed. Everybody knew what was going to happen. Right. Everyone knew where they're supposed to go. They knew what they were expected to learn. And then he went to baseball games and realized the same thing happened there. And regardless, you could go and look out there and the manager who's probably been playing for decades, they know the rules, but the umpire would call them out and say, listen, if it hits that pole and goes left, that's going to be a double. But if it goes to the right, that's going to be a home run. Right. And so they would go through all these rules. And he sat back and said, well, maybe we should have some rules for sales calls too.
Yeah,
and
it's like on a plane, you see the pilot and co-pilot going through the checklist.
They go through a checklist. Yeah. And so he thought, if a call starts well, it'll end well. Yeah. So why don't we start off and have 5 basic elements? Right. First is the purpose. Why are we here today? Mm-hmm. Even though as a salesperson, sometimes the prospect has forgotten. They don't even sometimes know your name until you showed up, right? The second is, how much time did we talk about on the phone or a prior meeting? And if it was 60 minutes, is it still good? If there's anything changed, let's talk about that now. Out of respect, we might as well condense that meeting if we had to. Right. The third is agenda. And so what would you like to make sure that I cover today? And then I'd like to tell you as a salesperson what I'd like to cover. And that way you're not surprised. Right. And then finally is the outcome. What should we try to decide at the end of the meeting? And that was really the elements of an upfront contract that helped shape David's success.
How hard is it for salespeople to come on board with that and execute flawlessly every time?
Well, I think it has to become muscle memory, right? And I think if you just do some of it, you'll realize over time that you can do more and more of it. I think the hardest one is outcome. Really asking a prospect, where should we end up at the end of the call if it goes well? And that's hard because most people don't want to hear the answer or they're afraid of the answer. But the other ones are intuitive.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dave. For anybody who would like to get more information, go to sandler.com. You find a terrific resource for your sales success.